So I'm Katie Munday. I use they, them pronouns. Sometimes I'm known online as autistic and living the dream as well. Do a lot of kind of consultancy and training around many various things. It started off as just being autistic, and then realized that, oh, I'm trans as well. And now I do various other things as well, as these things do. So, yeah, so that's me. So many, so many. I think in a trans perspective though, and in like a wider LGBTQIA plus perspective, is that we can understand ourselves. We can understand what we need and want from relationships and what we need and want from our body and how we want to show up in the world and how we want to embody our gender or lack of gender or whatever else. Just believe us. We kind of know what we're talking about. Whether that's autistic people, or autistic people with learning disabilities, whether they're non-speaking autistic people, like, we know who we are. Just believe us. I mean, there's quite a lot of us, trans and gender diverse autistic people, and otherwise neurodivergent as well. That doesn't mean if you're trans that you're going to be autistic, or if you're autistic you're going to be trans. That just means that there are a lot of us who inhabit both spaces. Um, so with that in mind, trans spaces and more widely queer spaces need to be aware that there are likely to be a lot of autistic people and neurodivergent people coming to um, queer coffee spaces, to nightclubs, to wherever it is that queer people mingle. Drama clubs. I don't know why drama clubs has come up for me, but I feel like I need to add that in there as well. Um, and obviously kind of the other way around as well, if there's like autistic based social groups or support groups and stuff, there are likely to be quite a few trans and gender diverse people there, and perhaps some questioning people as well. So it's important that these places are accessible, that they're gender affirming, and that they're neuro affirming as well. And that means different things to different people. So it's not a one size fits all. All we've ticked the autistic accessibility box, and now all autistic people can come here, and the same with trans people as well. Like, we're all obviously different people, so we need different things. Choice is a really important part of that. And not just for autistic people as well, but for whoever you've got coming into your space. Um, choice on whether to um I suppose it's with social expectations, not everybody needs to talk, or not everybody needs to be able to communicate in the same kind of way, giving people time to be able to process information. Um, I feel like a quiet space, or at least a space that people can, if everything's getting a bit too much, there's too many people, there's too many noises, there's too many smells, the expectations are a bit all over the place, then to have a space that you can kind of dive into that isn't I find like a lot of autistics, like sensory rooms and various things like that, if they're very child centric, which obviously doesn't benefit a lot of adults. So I feel like it can be a quiet space that doesn't have to have a bubble tube and a bean bag. I mean, I like both those things anyways. I can get in a bean bag, I can't get out the bean bag. That's my one issue with the bean bag. But in all seriousness, things are kind of put towards kids, which is fantastic. But it also means that kind of adults miss out on that kind of more adult kind of space that we can dart off to if we need to. Yeah, I feel like for a lot of autistic people, it has been for me. So if you're privileged enough to be diagnosed autistic or ADHD or anything similar, you especially kind of later on in life, um, then it you kind of get told, oh, you're autistic. And with me as well, it's like, oh, you're autistic and you're OCD. Okay, I didn't know that I could be diagnosed with that at the same time, but thank you very much. And then they just kind of let you get on with it. Um, the process for children is not that much better, I've got to say. But as an adult, it's kind of very difficult, looking back for me personally, it was looking back at 30 years and going, "Aha, now that makes sense that this has happened or that's happened." And um, so for me, being able to find similar people online was massive, was huge, because having been told or feeling that I'm weird, awkward, freak, and that was very much connected with my sexuality and my gender expression as well, always has been, and how I relate to other people. Being able to find a group of people online who I can go, um, oh, I have this, um, like as an example. So, I have issues with like waiting for appointments. I'm a very bad person at waiting. So much so that I start doing something and then think, oh my goodness, should have gone to a meeting like 10, 15 minutes ago because oh, I'll just do that for a little second. Or I can't do anything before a meeting. Um, let's say it's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, like I can't do anything that day. And people just being able to say, oh yeah, that's like choice paralysis, or that's time blindness, or that's various other things. And I'm like, not only do other people experience this, but we've got a whole vocabulary there for me to just be able to go, "Oh, I don't have the spoons today," or "I don't have this today," or "I was really," and that's an amazing toolkit that is there for people online if they want it. So for me, it's personally, it's been online spaces have been, yeah, amazing for me personally, and I'm sure they have been for other autistic people. Tone is a very, very difficult thing to get across in written interactions. Oh, exceedingly difficult. I would say that's probably difficult for most people, actually. But there's another element for a lot of autistic people, and I would definitely say that is for me as well. Even if it was said to me, tones and intonations isn't necessarily then trying to work out people's faces whilst they're doing that. And it's a lot of information to be able to take in for autistic people. So when it's written word, it's a little bit more difficult, I would say. For me personally, I would say that. Um, Especially when I don't necessarily understand sarcasm, and subtext is a bit lost on me sometimes. So, I feel like, so things like tone indicators have been really, really helpful. Such as if you did, in brackets, sarcasm or something like that. Even sometimes explaining emojis for me is like, I don't understand what that face would look like on a proper human being. And now it's just flying around by itself on the internet. Um, so sometimes explaining that, just a quick couple of words in parenthesis, in brackets, would be fantastic. Um, Patience, I think we could all do with more patience online. I think people can be, myself included in this, 100%, can get very heated very quickly, especially around things that are very important to us. Trans identity and autistic identity are going to be two of those things definitely, and different intersections and stuff. Um, and just understanding that everyone's point of view is different. Again, not necessarily autistic specific. Um, but I see this online about kind of policing around kind of language use. I see this in autistic spaces and I see it in trans spaces around, um, some people suggesting that they're transsexual or they're female to male or whatever, and some autistic people saying that they live with autism or they have autism and stuff like that. And I think, as no ill intent is used with those words, and I think people should be able to have the space to be able to work out how they want to describe themselves and how they live their lives, definitely. It's funny because in a lot of online autistic spaces that I'm involved with, um, people get very stressed about April, because they know that there's going to be a bombardment of misinformation and, um, even words like suffering, disordered, deficient, lacking, empathy problems, all of this kind of thing, actually really kind of burns out quite a lot of us. Um, so I think it would be nice if it was every month. but just be gentler with your autistic friends this month because we're going to need it because it's hard to, just constantly have to fight against a rising tide of kind of bigotry and hatred, and we definitely see that if you're autistic and trans. Oh, yes, it's awful out there at the moment. So just be gentle with each other. I think would be my biggest thing about Autism Acceptance Week. And listen to us. Autistic people were talking. We kind of know what we're going on about most of the time. We don't need non-autistic people to tell us what it is we actually meant when we said this, or citing something from 30, 40 odd years ago that is actually really harmful to us. So um, there's a lot of us out there who know what we're talking about.